Taylor Lorenz, who's we're always happy to have on talking about all things tech. Taylor, welcome back to TMZ Live.
Hey, Taylor.
How's it going?
We're good.
Yeah.
I just want to hear from you. I mean, you cover this. What say you about maybe Tim Cook really considering doing this?
Well, I think Apple legitimately is considering this move. I think the platform has been hemorrhaging advertisers, not just Apple, but, tons of other big companies. GM immediately pulled their advertising as soon as Musk took over, and they've lost significant number of their top, advertising dollars already. So Elon's in a tough point, and now here he goes, saying it's basically a free for all, and that he wants to roll out things like monetized video. All of this stuff just has a lot of trust and safety concerns, and that's something that Apple is really strict about. So I think Apple is very concerned about these issues.
As I said, Elon's big thing is, and you said, he's got to monetize this. Going head to head with Apple, if they are considering removing them from the App Store, seems like it's counterproductive. So, I guess Elon would say that he's calling them out so that maybe they won't do it or to put pressure on them. But if they do take them off, that's, cutting into could cut into the number of users. So it just seems like it's counterproductive, no?
I think Elon loves to go against the grain. I will say that I think he probably feels like his one tool is public pressure, and public pressure, Elon has millions and millions of fans, very dedicated followers, and he can drive these narratives. And so, I think there's a lot of simmering animosity towards Apple. It's not just from Elon, right? Facebook, Epic Games, famously filed suit against Apple, which Elon shared a video actually related to that. I think he feels like by being public and sort of taking on Apple in this way, he can kind of maybe generate support for his cause and not be removed. If Twitter is removed from the App Store, that's going to be disastrous. I don't know how he will be able to recover from that.
Taylor, when I was in law school, I so remember this in my constitutional law class, talking about the First Amendment and free speech. This is not the government imposing restrictions or anything else, so it doesn't directly apply, but the spirit does. And the concept behind the First Amendment is it's easy to allow speech that you agree with, but to have free speech, you have to allow things that are abhorrent. There are things that you don't want on
what
social media.
What you and I may say is hate speech, someone else may say is their free speech.
And the idea behind the First Amendment was you got to tolerate it, you got to argue against it, and you let it all air out, and you fight it up front.
Which seems to be what Elon has said he wants Twitter to be.
How do you view that?
Yeah. So here's the tricky thing, right? Those laws were written at a time when you could only reach a certain amount of people. And it was a, completely different landscape. So, I'm a journalist. I am huge supporter of free speech and the First Amendment. We could not do our jobs without that. It's so important to protect free speech. I think the struggles and what Twitter had a whole teams dedicated to is manipulation. And when does certain types of speech or content become harmful? Now, that's not to say that they necessarily shouldn't be on there, but I think there's things to think about in terms of amplification. That's what I think gets missed in all these conversations about free speech. It's not just people's ability to say things, it's people's ability to have those views amplified, right? Or program a bot army to flood the internet with those views. And so I think it's not just like one person, one voice anymore. Everything is being manipulated by these algorithms, and we need to have algorithms that surface content that isn't, going to alienate most of your users. If your entire Twitter feed just becomes, a free-for-all where spammers and, people are posting gore videos and stuff, that's not going to be a good experience for everyone. For anyone, really.
Doesn't it fall apart if that happens? In other words, doesn't it kind of become that self-fulfilling prophecy where if you allow that, people are just going to abandon it and it's going to fail?
Yeah, it's going to fail. That's the thing, is that there's no absolutism. And by the way, Elon, although he loves to act like he's this champion of free speech, his record tells a very different story, right? This is a man who is notoriously, goes to extreme lengths to kind of attack his own employees, right? Like people that emoji reacted negatively to something about him in Slack, he's going to fire. So he's not the free speech absolutist that he claims to be. But I do think that Twitter, has struggled in certain areas to really moderate itself. And I think the concept of misinformation, especially on things like, health and other things that are evolving rapidly, or crypto, these things that change so quickly, it's hard to moderate those topics. So I think he has to find a balance, because the way that he's talking now, it's terrifying advertisers, and it's going to get him kicked off the App Store.
Yeah. I mean, the advertisers have already started to go, and the App Store could be, I don't know, could be.
It could be a death blow.
Yeah, really could be. Taylor, thank you so much for your perspective. Always love talking to you.
Thanks.
All right, Taylor, take care.
Okay.